Um, Slept good last night, hard. Kind of still feel it. Still just want to go right back to bed. Remember being a kid, especially a teenager, and you'd wake up and it'd just be like, oh, I just want to go back to sleep. And it was like a weekend, and you could, and you just slept till like 1. It's kind of what it feels like right now. I just want to sleep till 1. But fortunately, the practice is such that you get to close your eyes and you get to kind of quiet way down, quiet way down. So, as before, we've shifted up the order a little bit. We'll do the training first and then the discussion after. More like lecture after. So, let's get going. Find your comfortable seat. Settle in. Here comes first bell. So go straight to the eyes. Decide what you want to do with them. If they're open, you want to keep them open. Just cast them down. If you feel safe enough to close your eyes, close your eyes. Register kind of information you're still getting from your eyes, even if they're cast down or closed. Notice light and shadow behind the eyelids. And then just kind of notice it as you do this next step, as you shift your attention from what your eyes are giving you to what your ears are giving you. Just kind of lag your attention behind just for a second and just kind of notice how your eyes kind of drop off, like they drop off in their kind of use. And so as you shift into your ears and kind of collect information that's coming through your sense of sound, just kind of notice how the eyes just become kind of quiet. They kind of move to the backdrop. So now as you reach out with your ears, it's kind of collecting data. I mean, there's very much to be said about this being kind of a scientific approach. You know your ears, you have a hypothesis for, what's going on in your area. You know the area. But now you're going to test what you know, and testing what you know is just putting your attention on your sense of sound. So it's like your equipment in the present moment. Your equipment for studying the present moment is sight, sound, taste, touch, smell, among others. But what you're doing is you're putting all your attention into one and giving that your full attention. Your attention's fuel. It's fuel for the gear. So the gear starts to kind of rev up the more attention you give it, and the gear kind of settles down the less attention you give it. It's an important distinction. Let's come a little closer in. Let's go skin. See if you can notice the temperature on the back of your hands versus the palm of your hands. Back of your hands versus the palm of your hands. When you get to your mouth, I want you to take your tongue, move your tongue against the sides of your cheeks and the top of your mouth. Sides of your cheeks, top of your mouth. You might be surprised what the feeling of kind of running your tongue around the top of your mouth feels like. It's quite sensational. And then just notice the difference between the two senses, the two feels. Side of mouth, top of mouth. And now feel your teeth. There's a lot to be experienced there. It's right there. It's your mouth. Sense of smell. Just running through your gear. Let's move into second bell. Make your way to your ground. So now your gear gets more sophisticated. So now it's a region. So it's no longer kind of a piece of equipment. It's a region of operation. So you're going from pieces of equipment in the first bell to a region of operation in the second bell. And the first thing you establish in your region of operation is where you're operating from. It's called your ground. So if you were a CB, right, if you were a combat engineer, before you built everything, you'd have to establish the ground on which you build everything. So what you're establishing right now is the ground that you're building your alignment on top of. And so when I say check the region, your ground, you're studying what it feels like underneath you. What kind of chair you're on, what kind of cushion you're on. Hopefully you're on an armor down cushion. What kind of pillow you're on. Maybe you're laying down, studying that. And so what you do is you just look where there's connection. You study where there's the connection. So for me, sitting crisscross applesauce, I've got connection on the outside edges of my right foot, right shin, the left shin and the left foot are kind of resting on top of the right. Very solid beneath me. Next region you shift to is the pelvis. So the pelvis is the base of your spine. And you go there first, this region, to establish, one, good comms. So there's back and forth. There's a sense of, if it shows up, if this region shows up with sensation, you'll notice it. But you're also interacting with the sensation as kind of a curiosity, getting a sit rep, getting a sense of what's going on in this region, how's it going, is there anything that can be improved, anything that region needs. And then once you've established that region is comfortable, you settle it and then you build up from it. So from your pelvis you move into your core. The core region, just think of what's in your core. Just think of how many muscles, and guts, and nerves, and sinew, and fascia is just full of stuff. And your intent is to let all that stuff be at ease. At ease. You think about formation, right? Drill and ceremony. When you're just sitting there, you call the at ease call. And at ease is, you can kind of let the tension out. Let the rigorous alignment and the rigorous structure out. And you just at ease an area. When you at ease an area, it gets, you can kind of just chill. And you'll do that with your core. If there's any holding there, at ease. Let it chill. Move up from the core to the heart space. Heart space, there's a lot going on in the heart space. You've got lungs and ribs and collarbones and shoulder blades. Sometimes it feels nice to move things around a little bit. But mostly it's just that you're putting your attention on that region. Your attention is intelligent. What you're attending to is also intelligent. And they have ways of communicating with each other that you are building and understanding and growing your awareness of. So the communication already exists, but your awareness of that communication is relatively small. So every time you put your attention on a region, you're reinforcing comms and you're developing comms. And then as you get quieter and quieter and quieter, more information shows up. The more information that shows up, the quieter you might be able to become, and so on and so forth. It's an unfolding. It happens every single time, but it can get interrupted. If your attention is on your heart space, and you're kind of moving your shoulder blades a little bit, and your thoughts come in. Your thoughts come in. Your attention can get captured by your thoughts and run away. Or your thoughts can come in, your attention can recognize your thoughts and go back to attending to the region. As you do that a couple times, what might start happening is that your thoughts, instead of trying to pull you away to something in the past or something in the future, your thoughts might just say, that's interesting. Let me be curious. And your awareness and your thoughts become united. Now we're cooking with bacon, right? Now we're cooking with some good stuff. So let's check. You can check in on that when you get to the throat. So the throat offers layers of attention and awareness that can kind of open up for you as you become more and more immersed into the moment. And this is just a byproduct of the parasympathetic side of the nervous system. It just starts to happen. So as you breathe and feel your throat space, relax your jaw, let your tongue get flat in the back of your mouth. And take a swallow. See if you can feel that traveling down your throat. And then real slow, try breathing and see if you can feel air moving in your throat. Now, just for fun, see if you can feel a temperature difference between the air going down and in and up and out. Now from here, move up further to the head. Just notice the back of the head. Visualize in your mind's eye the back of your head. See if you can feel your hair on the back of your head, or just the back of the head, period. Move around, notice the ears, notice the architecture of the left ear, notice the architecture of the right ear. Now come to the chin and the jaw. Soften muscles of chin and jaw. Soften top lip. Soften cheeks. Soften muscles behind the eyes. Soften the eyebrows. Now get to the tip top of your head. Tip top of your head's tip top of your spine. And imagine your head just floating on top of your spine. You can maybe shake your head no a little bit, nod your head yes a little bit, and just kind of feel a kind of a floating of the head. When you shake your head no or nod your head yes, make it really small, like super tiny. And just kind of feel how there's just a lot of freedom inside that little tiny movement. Not big nods, just a little tiny little nod and a little tiny little shake, just little, baby, and feel how there's just kind of floatiness to the head. And then as I get the third bell up, shift from your head to your full breathing. Take it all the way in. And let it out slow. Your in-breath is a stimulator, right? It stimulates the body. Your out-breath is a calmer. Your out-breath calms the body. In-breath, up, up, up. Exhale, settle, settle, settle. So just emphasize the settling. Emphasize the settling. So I want you to do 4 seconds in, 8 seconds out. So really work on making your out breath really long. So let's add the 7-second hold in the middle. We worked on this again yesterday. 4, 7, 8. 4, 7, 8. It's a great way of thinking about creating a breath practice that settles the system. So it's 4 seconds in, 7 seconds hold at the top, and then 8-second exhale. So go 3 rounds on your own, and then we're going to sit for a minute. Then we'll move on to fourth bell. Okay, now just practice sitting quietly for 1 minute. Focus on your awareness. Your thoughts are separate from your awareness. Your awareness recognizes thoughts and puts your attention back on the breath. The thoughts come, just notice them in your awareness, but put your attention back on the breath. So take your time coming out of the practice. Couple things to do to kind of shift your body out of kind of calm and focused and training is to rev your body up in ways that are not crazy, but just counter what we did to armor down. And so by that, it's emphasizing the inhale, right? So if you double up on the exhale, the body settles. But if you kind of bring the inhale in a little bit faster, the body revs a little bit. So you can take some breath in. And then there's a couple things you can do here too. You can take the arms up over your head. You know, it's what they do in stadiums, you know, when your team scores. Yeah. So you can, you know, take your arms up and breathe in deep at the same time. Just kind of get going. Hey, Megan, you're still trying to stay awake. To go to sleep. Don't stay awake if you can help it. Go to sleep by all means. All right, so good training, good practice, very nice. And what did we do it for? We did it so that we can bring our best to the day. And so this week, the theme has been strategy, thinking more strategically about joy. And so in the first half of the week, the arts of war, you know, violence and guns and, you know, what's joy, a belt-fed weapon, you know, power, you know, use your power for joy. I mean, and what does it mean to kind of have power and use it to kind of bring another person joy? I mean, that's a power, right? Wednesday was gratitude. There's no freedom without gratitude. Thursday, yesterday, was just love and joy, you know, kind of the warm and fuzzy, right? The sense of understanding and acceptance and a feeling of confidence moving forward. And so today, Friday, is vulnerabilities. And so I look at the second half of the week as the arts of peace. And so our vulnerabilities are the things that have fostered our greatest achievements. And, you know, if you think about, you know, the vulnerability of the need for stable food and things like that, I mean, that's agriculture. You know, the vulnerabilities of loneliness and sadness and despair foster the creation of music and literature. And our vulnerabilities around how to interact with each other foster the development of knowledge and law and rules, right? So these things that are you know, essentially able to kill us, right? These things also are the fuel for our greatest stuff, right? And what does a beautiful song create inside of you? What does say a rule that is enforced fairly? What does that give you when you see it being enforced fairly? Like I think about the people who, you know, feel like, you know, nothing has ever gone right for them, and then, you know, sometimes they can come to America, and then there's like safety here, and there's a sense of things have worked out, or, you know, I'm thinking about the Supreme Court ruling yesterday. You know, it doesn't mean everything's perfect, but there's just this sense of like, oh yes, right, okay, yes. And so today, I titled today, "The Opposite of Vulnerability is Joy." And what I mean by that is that we are vulnerable. We just have vulnerabilities. There's no getting around it. Sleep is a vulnerability, sort of. And so when we kind of interact or overcome or you know, fully express that kind of opposite side of the spectrum of vulnerability, what's there? And that's joy. And so all the things that are going on in your life, right? The things that aren't the right things, or not going well, or wish it could be this way, or wish it could be that way. Just keep in mind that all those things aren't just there because life just sucks and it's not fair. No one's doing their job, or my life is just. All those things are there as just counterpoints. They're literally just counterpoints to the joy that is there by very definition. I mean, the vulnerabilities are the other side of the spectrum, right? So here's vulnerability, joy, vulnerability, joy, vulnerability, joy. Without the other, they don't exist, right? And so what we have in the meantime is we have to contend with the realities of our attention and our thoughts. So we've got thoughts, right? So thoughts are here. Okay, attention is here. Let me see what's the best way to do this. So your thoughts kind of your attention kind of looks at things. Thoughts think, past, future, past, future. Attention looks at things, right? Now you are the awareness, right? So you're choosing whether to capture here or whether to be here. Now another way to think about this is this, okay? This is your nervous system, right? Attention is your nervous system. Thoughts are your identity, right? Nervous system, identity. And a lot of us get stuck. We get stuck in our identities. We get stuck in our past and our future and our story. And when that happens, we miss the opportunities that awareness brings. Now, awareness is not identity. Awareness is the present moment. This is mindfulness. This is the practice of mindfulness. Attention. Okay? That's this. This is thinking. This is identity. They're not the same. Now, what happens when your attention and your identity come together into the same moment is joy. All right. I hope you have a great weekend. I enjoyed this week. I hope it was helpful. Always a pleasure, Armor Down. And I'll see you on Monday.